What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to Shooting the Shit Uncensored. You know who this is. It's the truth, baby. The dad bod god, the bald, the beard, and the fucking beautiful Piers Austin. And tonight, we have a returning guest. I'm excited to have this guest on. This guest, Charlie Rose, is one of my favorite people, and I know that I say that about every guest, but this time I actually mean it. I'm excited to have Charlie Rose back on the podcast and get into an amazing conversation. But before we do that, I want to take a quick second to talk about our sponsor for tonight's episode, and that is Sleefs.com. That's SLEEFS, Sleefs.com. If you or someone you know is an athlete, you need to go and check out Sleefs.com. They've got all your athletic gear and wear covered. They've got armbands, compression shorts, compression pants, headbands, boots, mouth guards, and they've even got those dirty boxers that you know that I'm always rocking. Now, these dirty boxers stay dry, they stay fresh, and they are the most comfortable boxes that I own, bar none. So do yourself a favor, people. Go out and get yourself some dirty boxes at Sleefs.com. Use that promo code MWAPOD and get 10% off your final purchase. Also, wherever you are tuning in, I appreciate it. If you're tuning in on YouTube, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell to stay notified. Tap that little red button and tap in, because you know I'm bringing you the best interviews in professional wrestling, mixed martial arts, combat sports, entertainment, music, comedy, you name it. I'm bringing it all to you right here, baby. So hit that button. And if you're listening on a podcast platform, you know I'm going to ask you to give me a 5-star review. That shit helps me so much. It helps with our analytics. It helps us bring more amazing conversations to more amazing people like yourselves, like this one you're about to listen to. So get to clicking and get to tapping. But right now, let's get into my conversation with the one, the only, Charlie fucking Rose. Boom. Live on a Tuesday night. Charlie Rose in the building. What's going on, Charlie? Good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
You know what? It's almost been literally a year to the date that we did our first interview.
Yeah. Has it been a year? It feels like way over.
Actually, no. It was like 2021. So it's almost 2 years.
It was almost 2 years, yeah. Because I was thinking that as well when you hit me up about it.
That's crazy. 2 years since our last interview. I'm glad to finally have you back on. You've been killing it, by the way.
No, thank you. Thank you. No,
nice,
it's been good.
Nice shiny accessory behind your shoulder there.
Yes, there it is. I thought I'd bring it in the back and show it off to hide the fact that the bed is not made, but it's fine. I'm getting a week.
Hey, it's all good. But you know what? I'm gonna throw this out there. I'm gonna say something that's really cool, that what MXW has done, and I feel like their inaugural main championship belt, putting it on a female presenting person. I feel like that's something that hasn't really been done with a main championship belt as yet. Like, we've seen women have shots at titles and stuff like that, but to actually be an inaugural champion of an organization, I take my hat off to the company, because I think that's really progressive and a really cool thing what they've done there.
Yeah, it's super cool and super weird, not just because it's like me, a female presenting person, winning a title, but I don't know. I never thought in my life that I would win a championship like that, like a main show title. So it's really, really cool. And it's really, really nice to see that the guys at MXW are willing to, put myself in that position. It's really cool.
I mean, I feel like it's putting you know, for a company to start out to put someone as their inaugural champion, they've got to have a high level of belief. And like, I've seen you wrestle. I think you're an amazing wrestler. I think, you know, you definitely have a fantastic character, and you're great at what you do, and very deserving of this opportunity as well. And I think that, you know, considering that you're still young in the business, a couple of years in, and, you know, to do that shows a lot of value what the company sees in you.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. That really means a lot. Yeah, it's really cool. I'm hoping to take this to a lot of places and, you know, show it off, because I think it's pretty neat. So no, it's really, really cool.
So tell us about MXW. Like, how where's this company like sort of sprung out from? Because they're still relatively new, right? They've had a few shows. What can you tell us about this company that you're now, you know, the main champion of at the moment?
Yeah. So MXW, I believe, I'm gonna look at Will because I need to make sure I'm saying the right things. So they started in Horsham. Yes, they started in Horsham as just like a little backyard fed, as most of like the main like popular wrestling shows started from in Australia. And then this year / last year as well. Yeah, they started pushing to do more proper live shows rather than doing their filming stuff back at home. They're just a new up and coming fed. All their boys, mainly from rural towns, so like from Mildura, Horsham, obviously. We've had people from like Ballarat, heaps of all over the place, and they've all just kind of decided that this year, and I guess a bit of last year, to come together and really take pro wrestling more serious. And they all get down to trainings in like Melbourne City whenever they can, and they're just trying to boost pro wrestling, you know, not just in Melbourne City, like other places of Victoria.
Sure. So just sort of doing it more like doing more of the country type of shows.
Yeah, I mean, they're traveling pretty much everywhere. I don't know exact locations yet, but like obviously they've done a couple of shows they've done one show in Ballarat. There's another one obviously coming up this weekend. They've done shows in Horsham, so just kind of going kind of everywhere that other wrestling shows in Victoria are, which is also really cool because that means other people of Australia get to experience pro wrestling.
How's the reception been for MXW, like coming in? Because Melbourne is a pretty rich city Victoria is a pretty rich state with professional wrestling. Has it been, you know, like, have you got, or has the company tried to reach out to sort of name stars that are performing well in other organizations, or is the idea to keep it smaller and keep, you know, more of the regional talent or regional wrestlers involved?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a little bit of everything. Of course, they want to try and shine the people who maybe don't get as many opportunities, but it's definitely not limited. They've reached out to many different kinds of pro wrestlers across the country. They just want to do it all.
Yeah. And I think that that's the thing. Like, like, would you say that they have like a difference besides going from different, you know, areas and going more outside of in different places in Victoria? Like, is there a difference to what the overall product is that they're bringing to the table?
The overall product, I think, is the same. It's just good old fashioned pro wrestling, which is always lots of fun. I don't think they're, in a way, trying to be specifically different.
Sure.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. But, you know, talking about Victoria, you recently moved, or a year ago, you moved to Victoria. How was that change for you going from, you know, Tasmania to Victoria?
It's so good here. I can't even like explain it. I mean, obviously I do miss Tassie and my family and my friends and my wrestling friends from TCW, but here, like, I've never experienced this much wrestling in my life, like in person, which is super cool. Now I get to now I'm starting to get like into the like mindset of, oh crap, like there's another wrestling show this weekend. Oh, I can't be bothered. Or, oh, I've got to do this, got to do that. I never had that, which is kind of cool, but also like I don't necessarily like thinking like that. I like to sleep in, but It's really, really cool, and you get to meet all different kinds of people who have done all
Mm.
different kinds of pro wrestling, because there is so much of it in Victoria. So obviously there's like your regular wrestling, there's a lot of people who do really crazy high flying stuff, the
Yeah.
deathmatch stuff, which I guess kind of isn't really anywhere else. I mean, they do a little bit of it in New South Wales, and obviously Perth does a lot of they're starting to do more deathmatch stuff now, but yeah, all different kinds of wrestling here, which is so cool.
Yeah, I mean, Melbourne definitely brings a smorgasbord of professional wrestling. I feel,
Mm.
and covering all genres as well. I think Sydney does as well. I mean, not much on the deathmatch side of things,
Yeah,
but I feel like overall, like Australia now is more presenting in all other forms of professional wrestling as opposed to what it was like maybe 15, 20 years ago when it was just
yeah.
like
Even
RSL club
even like
stuff.
5 years ago.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt, and I think now, like even seeing like, because you've done a couple of death matches, right?
Yeah. How many have
How
I
do you,
done now? Two, three, three.
so what's your take on it now? You've done 3 death matches. Like, how do you view deathmatch wrestling now that you've done a couple of them as opposed to beforehand?
Um, I obviously think it's really, really, really cool. It really, like when I did my first one with Bateman, which is now over 2 years ago now, I I went to one of their deathmatch shows a couple months before, because I had never really watched it. Like growing up, I wasn't a huge fan, not because I like thought it was gross or anything, just because I never watched it. I was
Yeah.
always watching WWE. And then after watching Bateman versus Charlie Evans, I was like, oh fuck, that's actually like super cool. And then obviously I went on to do the next, well, my first one with Bateman, and then it kind of, no, it really did change my perspective on pro wrestling, just like regular wrestling, and how
We just got a little bit of a technical
better
difficulty
wrestler,
here.
just with the
There we
way
go.
I think about stuff. So it's changed my entire career for the
Mm.
better.
I mean, like with the deathmatch stuff, like, was there any injuries that came out of any of those matches? Like anything serious, or did you feel like you came out of it pretty well?
Um, Thankfully, knock on wood, I've come out of it pretty okay. I've got a couple of scars here and there, but no broken bones, no concussions or anything like that. Which has been lucky. There's a safe way to do deathmatch. Obviously, it's not just go in and do what you want and crack people over their head. Like there's obviously like a trained method to the madness.
Sure.
But yeah, fingers crossed, because I want to do more. So hopefully no injuries going forward. But just like a regular one-on-one wrestling match, like injuries happen.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I feel like deathmatch wrestling, and that was going to be my next question if you plan to do any more. But like, I feel deathmatch wrestling like gets a bad rap because you do see like the bad shit of deathmatch wrestling of like, I'm trying to word this in a right way, but it's like there's a lot of bad deathmatch wrestling I feel
Yeah.
out there in the world. There's also a lot of good deathmatch wrestling as well. Like, I'm not a complete hater on it. I do like deathmatch wrestling when it's done well. When it's not done well, it's like any form of wrestling. Bad wrestling's bad wrestling, whatever the fucking genre it is. You know what I mean?
Mm.
But like, I feel deathmatch wrestling gets a bad rap because of the level of blood and violence involved. And wrestling's an illusion as well. But I think sometimes people, I don't know, they can't break that illusion.
Yeah, I think the reason why people can't break that illusion is because when they see it and they see like the weapons or whatever it's
Mm.
used, anyone could look at like a light tube in their backyard or like a pot plant or whatever and go, oh, I could dunk that over anyone's head. Like it's
Mm.
nothing special. But as I said, there's definitely a more trained way to do it, to keep your opponent safe, to keep yourself safe.
Of
That
course.
a general fan or even just like a wrestler who doesn't know much about the death matches can't see. They can just see how, I guess, easy it looks. But I understand that it's definitely not everyone's cup of tea. As I said, it wasn't necessarily mine when I first like started watching wrestling. I know my dad was talking to me about deathmatch wrestling when I was like a kid, and how he didn't like it and how gross it was, and like this is what they do. Not necessarily showing me anything. He used to put CZW things of John Moxley, just like very short clips, and I'd be like, "Oh, that's weird." But obviously, I think it's like regular wrestling, right? Especially in Australia, like once you come to a show, a good show, it kind of can change your perspective on it a lot.
Yeah. Like I said, I think it depends on the talent. Like I won't sit down and watch a whole show which is all deathmatch wrestling, but there's not many shows out there that are all deathmatch wrestling, unless it's like tournaments and stuff like that. But now I watch more of like select matches where it's like, oh yeah, these people had a match. I'll go check it out on Fight TV or IWTV or something along those lines and see that particular match. Yeah. But it's like, like I said, it's, you know, it's got to be something that I personally want to see, but I feel like, you know, deathmatch wrestling does get a bad rap to that certain extent. But I put it down to, as well, it's like, you know, it's kind of like combat sports in a way. Like the boxing purist, when MMA came in, you know what I mean? Like some of them went, oh, this is really cool, I can enjoy this. But some went, hey, this is a little bit too violent for me. And now it's like they've gone up a level of violence with bare knuckle boxing and the slap fighting and all that. And then MMA fans are going, no, I'm going to stick to this. On some of them going, you know, that level of violence isn't comfortable for me. And that's cool. Like people are going to have their limits as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I said, it's a lot. Like I wouldn't recommend like anyone off the street who's never been to a wrestling show before to come to like a deathmatch show, because it is a lot and you kind of have to somewhat mentally prepare to come. But I think if you are willing to, you know, just broaden your mind and expectation of what wrestling is, they're really, really, really cool. And I think Australia has done a really good job at presenting like Australian deathmatch, which is super, super cool, especially over the last 2, 3, 4 years that it's kind of boomed a lot more. There's not one deathmatch that I've seen from Australia that I've gone, oh, that was really weird, or oh, that was a bit too much. Like it can get intense, but some of the stuff I've seen they do in America, even Japan, I'm like, ooh. So yeah, I think we've got a good like.
Oh, you should go see the stuff that they do in Russia. That shit is like next level.
Oh, true.
Yeah, like I've seen some of the, like there's a guy, I can't pronounce his name, but like you see his stuff that he does and it's like, I don't know if he's a professional wrestler or he's just a guy in a backyard that gets a bunch of people to watch his shit. But like the stuff he does is just like, oh, like, I know, like I can't watch his stuff after just eating food. Let's just say it that way. But yeah, it's pretty intense.
I didn't even know they had deathmatch wrestling in Russia. So I'm gonna have to go look that up because now I'm curious.
Oh, now you fall down a rabbit hole, and I guarantee you'll find this guy.
Yeah,
so he's on Instagram, but like now with with the deathmatch wrestling stuff as well, being a champion of another promotion, are you more like with death matches? Are you going to be more selective of what you do, like as who the opponent is, what the situation is, what show it is, etc.? Or are you open to doing death matches regularly?
I think especially after my first one, or even going into my first one, I definitely was a little bit more selective just because I really didn't know what I was getting myself into. Now, just like I guess anything in life, I'm always willing to give everyone a chance, and I'm always willing to try everything once, I think, just to see if I don't like it. Like when I first was planning the first death match with Joel, he was like, do you want to do skewers? And I was like, fuck no, nothing to the head. And then obviously, I think only my second death match in, which was my recent one with Callan Butcher, he was like, do you want to do these? And I was like, oh, I guess fuck it. Yes, I'll give it a go. And it was fine. Same with like gusset plates and stuff like that. So I don't know. I always have to try everything once. If there's something I see and I really, really think it's not cool, then I'll definitely say no. And the same with opponents too. Like, I always give everyone a chance once and see how it goes. I'm always lucky that people want to give me a chance, so I'm very easygoing.
What was been the biggest surprise of doing deathmatch wrestling for you? Like when you had your first one, going through the experience, like what was the overall feeling of like, were you like in there at any point going, holy shit, I'm over my head? Were you going, okay, this isn't as bad as I originally thought it would be? Where were you at?
My biggest shock was probably, and this is going to sound really stupid, especially after everything I've said, but like, this actually doesn't hurt that bad, because most of the time in death matches, you're obviously using the weapons to attack your other opponent or whatever. But in like a regular pro wrestling match, just slamming each other's bodies, you're like fully punching each other around. And I feel like it's a lot more physical, where here it's just kind of like using other things other than your own body to portray the story of a fight. So after, except for obviously my first one, because obviously my first one I was very like anxiety ridden and
Sure.
it's a lot. But every death match I've had since, which has only been 3, but like after every one, I'm always like, oh, like I don't feel as sore the next morning, which is nice. And then I'll have like a 5-minute match the next weekend, like a normal pro wrestling match.
Yeah.
I'll be like, fuck, I'm so sore, I'm so stiff. So that was probably my biggest shock. I was like, oh, it actually doesn't hurt.
Do you feel
My
like
body doesn't feel as sore.
in a death match, would you say you're bumping less though?
It can be an even amount. I'd probably say, in my personal experience, I find that there has been a little less bumping, but not the case for everyone.
Oh, of course, yeah. I suppose it depends on what the match calls for and what it needs, right?
Yeah.
What was you know, like did you like see what was going on like in Melbourne? I think a couple of weeks ago some shit was popping off on social media and it was a bit of back and forth. Like I didn't see exactly what the thing that sparked it all off. What was your perspective on it?
I mean, there's always stuff going off on wrestling,
Yeah.
Twitter, or just Australian wrestling drama in general. So I can't actually pinpoint what it may have been.
Yeah.
There was, I know people were talking about like the MXW shows and them coming from a backyard fed and how a lot of their guys haven't been trained, which is totally not true at all. And that sparked up a big thing, which is like from everyone else too. Like no one from MXW have ever like been like rah, rah, rah about it.
Sure.
At least
Yeah.
not from what I have seen anyway. I don't know, I kind of just try to stay out of stuff like that. And I know who I am in my heart. I know what the MXW boys are
Sure.
like in their hearts. And I know how much work they put in and how much they're really trying to, as I said, take wrestling more seriously now that they can, because obviously there's wrestling everywhere here now, which
Yeah.
is really cool. But outside of that, yeah.
It's I feel like that like with like wrestling drama, it's almost like there's something new every week. But I feel like the best thing like is just to sort of like not buy into it and not sort of like fall in. And it sounds like you just handled it well. Like just look, I'm not interested in getting into it and just staying back. And I think like the biggest insult you can really say to a wrestler is, besides calling him a mark, I feel like saying that you're a backyarder is like almost like it's almost like going into someone's parents' house and taking a shit in the living room.
Yeah.
Like it's that offensive, right?
Yeah. But it's so funny though when I like think about the things that have been said, because it's like so many Australian promotions have come from a backyard fed, or so many of our favorite pro wrestlers in Australia who have been doing it for 10 years. Yeah, like Robbie Eagles. Like so many people have
Yeah.
started in the backyard that you probably don't even know. So it's funny to me that people can have such a negative opinion on it. Obviously, I advocate for people to be obviously properly trained and get that experience, but I mean, we all start from somewhere. But
Yeah, I get it, but like, is backyard wrestling really a start though? Like, or is that just fucking around? You know what I mean? Like, that's the way I look at it. Like, would you say like I got my start as a backyard wrestler in professional? Like, you know what I mean?
I mean, depends on what that particular pro wrestler wants to do in their wrestling career.
Oh, sure.
It's not like me saying this is not me coming from a place of like this backyard wrestler, like they started here and now they're doing pro shows and like that as a story, because everyone's story is different. Not everyone has access to a training facility straight away. And of course, when you're like 15, 16, 17, and all you want to do is be a pro wrestler, of course you're going to like set up the pillows. Yeah, set up the pillows in the backyard and all that shit. Like, now not everyone records it and films it and puts it up and actually puts it on their resume, but it's all about having the passion for it. And if you can't, drive 6-7 hours to a training facility, of course you're going to be like inspired and wanted to do it like in your own backyard.
Yeah, I mean, look, as long as you're not hurting anybody or yourself, like, who are you really hurting at the end of the day? You know what I mean? Like, besides your neighbors might look over the fence and have a bit of a giggle, but you know what
exactly.
I mean? Like,
it's just wrestling. Like, of course it's silly and it's weird and like, of course there's injuries here and there and, people hurt themselves at trainings like all the time. It's just, I don't think it's that big of a deal. But obviously I advocate for people to go to training school and, take the time to learn the craft. But if you're passionate about it and you can, set up a ring in your trampoline, then my hat goes off to you. Like, I'm not going to stop you.
Well, hey, no one can, you know what I mean? Like, this shit's been going on for a long time, but like, I tend to think if you want to do it, you'll find a way to do it and you'll find a way to get trained properly. And it's, like I had a conversation and I'm not sure if you're familiar with this person, down under from South Australia. Like, yeah. So he told me, and his story was pretty interesting. He would actually drive 600 Ks when he was working like far away and would drive to Adelaide. I think he was working Western Australia, something like that, and working the mines and would drive 600 Ks on his day off to go and train at Adelaide for 4 days. At the end of the 4 days would then drive another 600 Ks back, have a quick shower, something to eat, and you then go do a 12-hour workday. And I'm like, fucking damn. And I just kind of hear that and just go, look, if you're really dedicated and you go, this is the shit I want to do. And it's not just wrestling, but in anything, that's the kind of effort that you would put yourself through, right?
Yeah, I guess. And like, as I said before, everyone's experience is different. And then if this is kind of leading into like the social media drama and then bringing the MXW boys kind of into it, I guess, not boys, but just like the idea of the company as a whole. It's like you said, hearing stories about how someone's driven 600 kilometers to train. That is basically how they've kickstarted this year and last year, because more of those guys, because not all of them are from the backyard, by the way. Either.
No.
Like, a lot of them have trained in Melbourne and done a heap of other stuff too. Guys like Will Walker, Kid Valiant, like heaps of other people, obviously, but like this has been their year where they've all kind of like realized that this is something that they want to take seriously, and they do. Like, all of this year they have been making that effort to drive in and go to trainings and come watch different shows in Melbourne, which is really cool. So everyone kind of starts the process whenever they do. Some people get inspired as soon as they get their license and they drive. That's 600 kilometers, or some people, they take their time, they do whatever they want to do, and then if they feel inspired enough, they will, make not inspired enough. That sounds really bad, but like, when the time is right for them, they can make that effort. So
Of course. And I think as well, like there's always situations that are out of your control. And there's always those sort of things that take into consideration. But like as far as the MXW like crew goes down there, like I know Kid Valiant's part of it, Rochelle Rogue's part of it. Those are two people that I really, really respect and like very much. And I was having a conversation with them about it at the last FWA show. And they were telling me it's like this is what was said, and it's it's sad to see this being said because all these guys are trained, and it's like I mean I felt bad because it's like from what you've told me, everyone at MXW seems to be making this effort to get better. Everyone's trying to make this a viable company for everybody and an enjoyable experience for everybody. Take my hat off to you, man. Like that's like, I mean, like what more can you ask for? As long as, like I said, the shows are safe, the crowd is safe, the wrestlers are safe, and everyone is properly trained. Yeah, man, you do whatever you want. Like have these amazing shows.
Yeah, exactly. And I think they also like the MXW management do a really good job of just like the way they promote, the way they reach out, the way they do their ticket sales, the way they protect the fans that come to the show and having things organized. Like they're very organized, which is really good to see because not only can they do these amazing shows and provide really amazing wrestling to all these, I guess, rural towns of what they have done so far, but they've also got a great set of like a great team of management who can back up everything they do to make sure that all the shows are safe. The wrestlers are safe and people are protected and the fans can come enjoy, which is really, really cool too.
Yeah, no, 100%. So what's been, in the last 2 years that we've spoken, what's been the biggest turning point you feel like in your career for you?
Probably, so obviously I moved about a year ago, just over a year ago now, and then I wrestled a little bit here and there for about 5 months. Wasn't doing a lot. Stopped going to training just because I couldn't get myself out of bed to like go do it. And then I kind of took anywhere between 6 to 9 months off, give or take, because I can't actually remember, which is so weird because I moved here to do more wrestling.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I'm here, the last thing I want to do is wrestling, which was really weird, just dealing with my own mental health and stuff and kind of seeing how I've bounced back from all of that has been really cool to see.
Were you burnt out from wrestling?
I guess, yeah. I was just like sick of it. Like I never wanted to watch it. I mean, I think not that the pandemic really affected me in Tassie, but just watching it, like I didn't want to see what was it called? The Dome, the Thunderdome. Like I didn't want to watch that. I thought it was stupid. I just wasn't inspired by it anymore like I was for the past like 5, 6, 7 years before then. I also just wanted to focus on like my real life work, and I think the move hadn't really like hit a toll on me yet until about the 6-month point, and everything got a bit overwhelming. I don't think anything specifically happened in my wrestling career that like made me go, oh, this sucks. But I was just like, yeah, just burnt out, over it, wanted to see if there was anything else that sparked my interest in life. But then still like after a period of time off and coming to the shows and then it clicking like, oh, what everyone else is doing is really inspiring me. So I still want to give it another chance and to see how like my own brain and mental health has been since like getting back into it again has been really nice because I was worried I was going to like go into another training session and go, oh, like this fucking sucks, which is probably why I didn't go for a while on that period of time because I was like, oh, I'm probably going to get there and I'm probably going to hate it. So why bother going? Um, but I made it, and yeah, I'm very happy that I did because pro wrestling is fun.
Pro wrestling is a lot of fun. Like, was there a certain thing that sort of triggered you to want to come back?
Will Walker puts his hand up and goes, a little bit. No offense. Well, I mean, of course, like I was inspired by you, and like he did a bunch of the death matches last year, and coming and seeing those, and the atmosphere of the fans that go to those deathmatch shows was super inspiring. I don't think there was one specific like pinpoint. I just, yeah, I don't know.
Do you have a different perspective on wrestling than what you did before you walked away from it 9 months, or before you took 9 months off?
I think so. I think I used to come back from every single one of my matches, no matter if it was fucking awesome or if it was like okay or a very mid match. And I'd be like, fuck this, like I hate it, like I'm so bad, I don't want to watch the match back, like I have to go like die now because I'm so bad at wrestling and I have nothing left. But this year I don't know what's triggered, but I've like really changed my perspective, and I don't know, just tell myself that it's just wrestling, it's silly, it's dumb, it's fun, and I'm trying to be more positive. Like if I do have a very average match, then I can go, okay, like that's fine, let's watch it back and try and learn from it to make the next one better. And like my whole 4 or 5 years of wrestling, I've never thought like that at all. I've always just been like, oh, it's bad, and then get really negative about it. But now I'm like starting to find the positives and everything and not beat myself up for it, which is also nice because then I don't feel as sad all the time.
But that I feel like is maturing in a lot of ways as well, because now it's like, okay, I'll sit down, I'll watch it and go, all right, it wasn't the best it could have been, or it wasn't meeting my expectations, but now I can learn from what I did wrong, see what I did well, go back, work on those things, focus on them, so next time do them better and have more fun. You know what I mean? Like, I think that it's a mature outlook to have on it. You know what I mean? And maybe, 4 or 5 years into the business, getting there, you've been able to grow.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's just like surrounding myself with good people as well. Not that I was surrounded by anyone negative in my career, but just like really making close connections with people who are on the same like wavelength as me, and we all kind of hype each other up, which is really, really nice.
Yeah.
As well.
I mean, having a good support system is important, especially in this crazy world of professional wrestling, right? It's definitely a crazy world environment. You mentioned, mental health, a couple of times there. You want to touch on it?
I can. I don't know what to say.
No. Well, do you want to talk about your experience? If you don't, that's fine. We can keep moving. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone suffers from like any kind of like, I don't want to say mental health problems because not everyone deals with mental illness. Everyone experiences hardship. Thank you. I have my person who teaches me English over here. Everyone experiences hardship. Everyone experiences life, and there's always like highs and lows, and definitely, as you said, coming from like definitely more maturing, probably just with age, I've learned to deal with my own head a lot better. And as I said, surrounding myself with more supportive people has really helped me with just the dips and shit of life. I don't know. If you feed me questions, I'll probably be able to answer better. I don't know. I kind of don't know where to start with that.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I completely get where you're coming from. Like, I think everyone has ups and downs. Like, for you, were you, experiencing like really low lows? Like, were you going through levels of depression? Was it anxiety? Like, what were you feeling?
Definitely a bit of everything that you just said. I I don't want to say like I had a rough childhood because I definitely didn't, but my upbringing in my late teenage years wasn't the best. And then that sounds really awful. I don't mean to say that, but it is the truth. And then, as I said, the move, like finally leaving Tassie and coming over to Victoria and leaving all of that stuff behind, it kind of like it makes you sit and reflect about it a lot because whatever's happening is not physically happening to you right now. So
100%.
that's obviously like can cause a bit of anxiety and thinking about the past and stuff. But it's just about who you surround yourself with as well and how you pick yourself up from those negative thoughts and yeah.
I think everyone has them. You know what I mean? Everyone has those things where I think like the main thing is like your mind can play tricks on you, and I feel like that's the thing that can ultimately beat most people is their own mind. They get stuck in their own head, stuck in their own mind on certain topics. And I feel like, sometimes even when you are feeling low, when you are feeling like that, a little thing in your brain wants you to stay that way. So you can have a really great support system that you can reach out to any day of the week, right? And you can have all these great things, but there's always going to be that thing in your mind. It's like, nah, they don't want to hear your problems. Nah, they don't want to deal with that. But in reality, they really do. You know what I mean? Like and that's the thing is like more people need to sort of speak up and be more forthcoming with that information to people that are close to them and stuff like that. Because as soon as you get the shit out there in the open, it's almost like it's, oh, okay, I feel a little bit better now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure May is the mental health awareness month or something happening in May. I saw someone share it. I'd definitely like to one day open up about just my own experiences with life and I don't know how I'd go about doing it. But
We're doing it now. We're doing it now. We're literally doing it now. You know what I mean? Like, like what,
yeah,
like,
I don't know.
like, do you have that happen often to you? Like, does it sort of like come out of nowhere and it sort of gives you this sort of feeling of depression and anxiety? Does something trigger it for you?
Comes and goes in waves. With my situation, it's probably more triggered by something. And this situation, I guess you could say, it had nothing to do with pro wrestling or
Sure.
pro wrestling people or fans, just stuff that's happened in my own life. It can definitely be triggered for me. But as long as I talk about it with like my partner Will, or just like whoever is willing to listen, like that helps me deal with it. Obviously, everyone's situation is different with how they deal with stuff. I never used to deal with it as healthily as I do now, which is also really nice to like progress from that. Yeah.
I think like that's the thing. You're always going to be progressing and learning. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I've said before on this podcast, I have, had mental health issues over the years. I've gone through depression, anxiety, and stuff like that. I just turned 41 last week. And you know what I mean? I'm still, you know what I mean? I only sort of started really dealing with it only a couple of years ago after I became a parent. My wife put the hammer down for me to fix it. You know what I mean? I'm still learning this way. You know what I mean? I come from a different generation, which is like it's completely different. Which my generation when I was growing up was bullshit. And you know what I mean? I'm all for like, I'm a very big advocate for mental health awareness and people seeking the help. And even if it's just a conversation with a mate or something like that, man, that shit goes a long way.
Yeah, 100%. I guess the person, like for myself, I guess I kind of have to be, I don't know, like not fully at peace. Let me try and think of what I'm trying to say. I would definitely love to share more about my own experiences because definitely reading or hearing about other people's experiences definitely helped me a lot just in my life. Definitely one day once I'm 100% comfortable and ready, I definitely be more open to share. I admire the people who do share more about their experiences and stuff.
Hey,
'Cause
it's all about comfort. It's all about comfort. And the
yeah,
thing is, you know, how people want to let out what you want to let out to the world. It's got to be up to you and on your terms. You know what I mean? And that's the thing where I think like you see, and I've seen some people over the years, people close to me go, man, they're down, like they've got some depression. And I've tried to get it out of them. And no, I'm good, bro. I'm good. I'm good. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like now it's like, well, a little bit older, you look at it and go, there's only so much you can ask. You know what I mean? Like people have got to want that help and come to and say, hey, I'm not doing okay, or this is what's going on.
yeah,
You know, so it's definitely got to be that level of comfort. But you know, turning it to a bit of a lighter topic though, you know, as far as, you know, wrestling now, like what's been your go-to to watch wrestling wise on television, streaming, whatever it be?
hey,
BDWJ on YouTube.
BDWJ on YouTube. Lots of very short clips of like,
Oh my god, compilation.
okay. Do you want to just come in and say what you just said?
Yeah, let's come in. Let's get Will Walker in the podcast.
Come
man.
on, you know you want to.
Yeah, round of applause for Will Walker. Let's get him in here, ladies and gentlemen. Here he is.
Don't.
Any of the Oh My God compilations or Can I Kick It, DDT, a lot of the YouTube, PS5 on the YouTube, anything that just gives me.
Yes, good YouTube.
Oh my god, on YouTube. What is it? Like just the clips and shit, or?
Yeah, it's just like lots of short clips of people hitting really cool moves. We'll watch that for like hours on end.
Yeah, BDWJ.
BDWJ. I'm gonna go check that out.
Yeah.
After this podcast, but yeah, right. I gotta check it out. But yeah, like, do you find yourself now, like when you sit down and watch wrestling, like it's hard to watch it as a fan?
I find it. This sounds probably really strange. I find it hard to watch wrestling like that's been made. What am I trying to say? Wrestling from like this year, last year. The more that I like get further into my career, I guess I find it hard to watch. But now, if I sit and watch like a match from like 2008 SmackDown or something, like I still feel like a fan, and I get really giddy and I get excited watching it. So
because that's when you were a kid when you started watching around that time.
that kind of nostalgic feel from watching it. Like I don't think about anything that I've done. I just feel like a 10-year-old watching wrestling at my nan's house. So yeah.
It's amazing how like sitting down and watching something like that can take you back to your childhood and stuff. Like,
yeah,
that's great. Like I'm the same. Like I'll watch something from the 80s, which showing my age there, but like I'll watch something like that and I'll be trying to get my kids into watching. I'm like, this is Hulk Hogan. And my kids are like, yeah. And like,
yeah.
Why are you watching this bald guy? I'm like, this is Hulk Hogan, man. But you know, I think like when you have that sort of connection to I think anything wrestling like that or entertainment and it can take you back to your childhood, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But you know, coming up, you know, this Saturday on the 13th, you're facing Richie Taylor at MXW for the MXW Championship. Richie Taylor, who is a guy who I believe he's retired and come back.
Yeah. Yes,
that's a nice looking belt, by the way. But so Richie Taylor's a pretty solid worker. I'm excited to see this matchup, by the way.
Yeah.
I think this will be a pretty exciting fight. Is this going to be on any streaming service at all, or on YouTube?
It'll go up probably on the Patreon.
It'll go up on their Patreon, the full show. They do upload a lot of free matches to YouTube. So whether or not this match ends up being one they upload, I guess we'll wait and find out. But it will be upstream somewhere. It will be available.
Hey, there you go. I'll have to make sure to check it out. But how are you finding going and having a match against Richie Taylor? His style very hard hitting. How do you feel this match is going to be?
I'm very excited for this match. I've been wanting to wrestle Richie Taylor for the longest time. I've got like a speech impediment. Stop laughing at me. for the longest time, him and Jason Crash came down for a seminar years ago down in Tassie, and I learned so much from that one seminar, which probably meant like nothing to him or Jason Crash. But it like really, really inspired me. And then to move over and meet him and talk to him a heap more and see all the amazing matches he did before retiring, and then like the amazing matches he's had since coming back from retirement, I guess you can say. Like he had a banger of a match with Robbie Eagles at APW Pandemonium, which was awesome. And I sat in the crowd and watched that whole match, and it was crazy. Like he's just amazing at what he does, and I'm very happy and glad that he's back, because I just want to learn from the best. And in my mind, he is definitely one of the best that this country has going for it.
Oh, absolutely, hands down. You know, definitely an amazing talent. I think it's going to be definitely an exciting match. I'm looking forward to it. But if you want to go check it out, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everyone tuning in, you can go and check it out at the MXW Patreon page.
Yeah, so it'll be uploaded. Keep an eye on socials, because that's where it'll be updated on where to watch. You can still buy tickets because it's in Ballarat this Saturday. If you have the Saturday off, come down. What? Mechanics Institute is where it is. But all the details are on their social media. You can find them Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. They update everything regularly. So definitely have a geezer. I never say that. I don't know why I said that.
Have a geezer. Have a geezer. Jeez, Charlie Rose. First time I had you on the podcast, you're a teenager. Now you're a grizzled vet. Look at you. Have a geezer at the
Sure.
Hey, but it is that time of the show. It is time for 60 Seconds with Piers. So how this is going to go, I'm going to ask a bunch of random questions to Charlie. She's got 60 seconds to answer as many as she can. Are you ready for me to get the clock started?
Yes, I am nervous. Yes.
Okay, Snapchat or TikTok?
TikTok.
Favorite wrestling referee of all time in the world?
Oh, Ref Darcy. Don't answer my questions for me. Yes.
All right. What is your biggest pet peeve?
Leaving the fly screen door open.
Roller coasters, love them or hate them?
Fucking love them.
Shittest gift you have ever given someone?
Probably nothing.
Shittest gift you have ever received?
I don't think I've received a shit gift.
Okay, 5-star hotel or camping?
5-star hotel.
What was the first concert you ever went to?
Ariana Grande.
Okay, what is something that you love but you're embarrassed to admit that you like, kind of like a guilty pleasure?
Will's pointing at him. I don't know. I don't think I have any massively guilty pleasures. I do like the Twilight movies.
Hey, there you go. All right, last one. In 5 minutes time, hey, I love them. In 5 minutes time, you are being shipped to outer space. What 2 personal belongings do you take with you, excluding human beings?
Ooh. A phone and a Wi-Fi outlet? No, I don't know. That's not real. I actually don't know what I would bring.
Phone and a Wi-Fi outlet, we'll give it.
My Switch and a bag of makeup so I can do my makeup.
There you go. That has been 60 Seconds with Piers with Charlie Rose. Charlie, thank you very much for coming back on. It's been great talking to you. I feel like 2 years has been way too long to have you on the podcast.
Yeah, go away.
Will Walker's working in the background. But where can everyone find you on social media?
I'm pretty sure all my social media links were the same as before. Charlie Rose PW on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. I think if you just look up Charlie Rose Pro Wrestler on Facebook, you can find me there. IE for Charlie. think that's all the social media I have. I have TikTok, but that's just for me to use. I don't post anything on there, so I won't plug that. Yeah, I think that's it.
Well, there you go. Charlie, thank you for being on the show. Charlie, it's absolutely a pleasure having you on. You're one of my favorite people in the world. And I say that about every guest, but this time I actually mean it. Thank you very much for being on the show. And ladies and gentlemen, please make sure you go and check out sleeps.com, our sponsor for the episode. Use that promo code MWAPOD to get a 10% discount on your final purchase. And guys, until next time, I'm Piers Austin. This is Charlie Rose. Charlie, I appreciate you as always. We'll see you again very soon. Take care. All the best. Mwah. Peace.